You step outside your front door into the freezing air. You pull your winter coat tighter. The biting wind hits your face, making you hurry toward the artificial warmth of your heated car. You turn the key. But what if there was no car? For 99% of human history, a winter coat was not a fashion choice. It was the only barrier between your body and immediate death. For roughly 300,000 years, your ancestors endured the brutal reality of the Pleistocene epoch. We casually call it the Ice Age today. Glaciers 2 miles high crushed northern Europe under millions of tons of ice. The average temperature hovered near freezing all year round. You might think they survived by simply hiding and shivering in dark caves. How could a hairless ape survive a frozen hellscape? The answer starts with their very biology. Over hundreds of thousands of years, your ancient ancestors, specifically the Neanderthals, evolved into the ultimate cold-weather survival machines. Compared to humans living in warmer climates today, Ice Age humans had a completely different build. Anthropologist Trenton Holliday has extensively studied Neanderthal body proportions. His research shows they were built like elite wrestlers. They had short limbs. They had massive, barrel-shaped rib cages. This was not a random accident of evolution. It is a perfect example of a biological principle called Allen's rule. This rule states that warm-blooded animals in cold climates evolve shorter limbs and thicker bodies to conserve core heat. Your ancestors were essentially walking biological furnaces. They even breathed differently than you do right now. Their massive nasal cavities were not just for a stronger sense of smell. Evolutionary biologist Ian Tattersall notes that these huge noses acted as internal humidifiers and heaters. They forcefully warmed the freezing outside air before it could shock their lungs and drop their core body temperature. But biology only gets you so far. You cannot outmuscle a blizzard. You cannot outstubborn a prehistoric winter. They needed technology. You probably picture cavemen wearing sloppy, single-shoulder animal pelts like in the movies. The reality was far more sophisticated. Around 50,000 years ago, ancient humans made a revolutionary leap. In places like Denisova Cave in Siberia, archaeologists have uncovered tiny, polished bone needles. These needles feature perfectly drilled eyes for threading. This changed everything about human survival. It meant they were not just draping animal skins over their shoulders. They were tailoring them. They created tightly fitted, windproof, multi-layered winter garments that trapped body heat perfectly. The famous archaeological site of Sungil in Russia provides even more stunning evidence of this. Here, researchers found ancient graves containing clothing adorned with thousands of individually carved mammoth ivory beads. The placement of these beads allowed archaeologists to reconstruct the garments. They found tailored trousers, enclosed leather shoes, and heavy hooded parkas. They were wearing prehistoric snowsuits, and they applied this same engineering genius to their homes. In areas where deep caves were not available, they did not just sleep in the snow. They built incredible structures entirely out of mammoth bones and tusks. They interlocked massive mammoth skulls to form foundations and used curved tusks as roof supports, layering the entire structure with thick animal hides. Inside these bone fortresses, they kept hearth fires burning constantly. Fire was not just for warmth. It was the center of their entire universe. It kept apex predators at bay, thawed frozen meat, and provided crucial light during the endless dark winter months. Speaking of meat, surviving the Ice Age required an insane amount of calories. With the long winters killing off most edible vegetation, your ancestors became hypercarnivores. Isotopic analysis by researcher Michael Richards has shown that Neanderthals had diets almost entirely composed of meat, putting them on the same trophic level as wolves and hyenas. They needed massive amounts of fat and protein to keep their internal furnaces burning. To get it, they coordinated highly complex ambush hunts. They trapped massive mammoths, woolly rhinos, and reindeer in natural bottlenecks like ravines or freezing bogs. Nothing was wasted. They even smashed open the thick bones using heavy stone tools to eat the calorie-rich marrow inside. It was the ultimate prehistoric energy bar. But hunting massive megafauna up close was incredibly dangerous. They did not have bows and arrows yet. Their heavy wooden spears, like the famous ones found at Schöningen in Germany, were designed for close-quarters thrusting. You had to get right up next to a thrashing, terrified beast. You had to drive the spear in with your own physical strength. Because of this, the fossil record shows that almost all adult Neanderthals had multiple broken bones. Researcher Eric Trinkaus famously compared their bone fracture patterns to modern professions. The closest match he found was professional rodeo riders. They got battered, they got trampled, they lived lives of immense physical pain. And this brings us to their greatest survival tool of all. It was not the tailored clothes, it was not the fire, it was empathy. Look at Shanidar Cave in Iraq. Here, archaeologists found the remains of a Neanderthal known as Shanidar I. He suffered massive head trauma early in life that likely left him blind in one eye. He had a withered right arm, amputated above the elbow. He walked with a severe, painful limp. He lived this way for decades. In a brutal survival of the fittest world, he should have died immediately. But he did not. Why? Because his community refused to let him die. They fed him, they chewed his food for him when his teeth wore down to the gums. They carried him and protected him when the group moved across the frozen landscape. We think of survival of the fittest as a ruthless individual competition. We pride ourselves on our modern independence. But your modern concept of independence would have gotten you killed in the Ice Age. Their ultimate survival tool was each other. They survived the frozen hellscape because they were adaptable, incredibly smart, and above all, fiercely loyal to their tribe. Next time you step outside your front door into the freezing air, remember them. You pull your winter coat tighter.